Audio Jungle.
Rob, just one more thing on technology that came out of the Clean Show because you mentioned automation. You want to take a little bit deeper dive there? I know you've done like even in your small commercial business, you've used some automation with the flat work ironer, and I was just in another store when I was in Houston last week with a towel folder and stacker. What are some things that you think are going to be practical in helping the average laundromat owner when it comes to automation in the new year?
Sure. So let me just take one step back, Brian, and that is
Sure.
to if you're going to be competitive in the laundry business, we assume everything is getting more competitive. One of the ways that you can do that is by leveraging the assets that you have and getting a higher return on investment. Okay, that might be one way. So you may have a certain portion of your business be self-service that walks in the door, and you might have some that be pickup and delivery and so on. And then for us, it really goes back almost to day one when we started out 15 years ago, being able to leverage our assets to target specific commercial business has always been a key part of our business model. And yes, if there are certain ways that you can use technology to differentiate yourself and offer certain services that maybe other businesses can't, then that really should be something that you might want to look at. But I really, it used to be, I think commercial was kind of a convenience that maybe some laundries offered to certain commercial customers that might literally walk in the door. That's how we've got our first commercial account, I'll be honest. They literally walked in the
You
door and
walk right in.
we saw a whole bunch of white stuff. In this case, it was a massage business that brought in a bunch of towels, and literally the masseuses were washing the towels, and we said, "Hey, we can do that for you," and I got a big hug. And that's how we got our very first commercial account. But it's changed, right? It's gotten a lot more competitive. You've got to go out and find those accounts. But that's the other thing is that laundromats tend to be smaller and nimbler. So when you're competing in the commercial market, big guys, the mega factories, if you will, tend to have economy of scale, and it's very hard for us to compete that way. But one of the ways that we can compete is by offering a higher level or degree of service. So it's not all just technology and how you leverage technology, but I would argue it's also how you leverage the service and your ability to take care of the customer. And you say, well, gosh, that sounds really intuitive, but think about it. So if I use like the train analogy, okay, if the train comes into your town once a day and takes you to wherever you need to go, as long as you can accommodate that schedule and move with the same schedule that the train has, then it works really well, okay? Because you're not going to be able to drive from point A to point B the same cost that the train is with all the passengers it's going to take. The trick is you have to be able to accommodate that schedule. So if you can fit into that regimen, if you will, then it can work really well. But the first time you deviate from that for whatever reason and you miss the train, then it becomes a little more painful to get from point A to point B, right? And now you're scrambling and trying. Well, that's where the real value, I would argue, that the laundromat provides is that we can provide that level of service that maybe the big mega factory or train can't. And so that's what we really try to do is we try to really outservice. I call it babying. We try to baby those commercial accounts. Yes, we have routes, we have schedules and so on, but if they call us up 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, you know who's going to be answering the phone? It'll be me. And we probably can figure out a way to accommodate them and take care of them. So it's not only leveraging technology, but leveraging that service that maybe some of the bigger guys can't offer.
Yeah, and I think that is a good entree into another topic that we wanted to cover together this afternoon, which is just the myriad of business models that are broken out across the industry. And you're an example, Rob, right, of a multi-store operation, and you're doing small commercial. You're not doing residential delivery, right?
Correct.
And so there's nothing wrong with that. That's you're playing to your strengths and what your equipment and your time, for that matter, can accommodate.